Chapter 20. Rooted Stance. As they exited the classroom, the students' energy surged like an electric current. The sun shone brightly in the clear blue sky, casting a golden hue over everything it touched, while a gentle breeze whispered through the leaves of the trees surrounding the expansive training grounds. In the center, a raised platform awaited Hiroshi's demonstration of the illustrious leaf dragon fist. Hiroshi stepped onto the platform, his aura commanding immediate focus. "Gather around," he instructed, and the students quickly formed a semicircle, their eyes fixed on him with rapt attention. "First, let me elucidate the core elements of the leaf dragon fist," Hiroshi began, adopting a relaxed stance before transitioning between various stances. This style emphasizes fluid movements that seamlessly blend offense and defense. He moved with the grace and power of a dragon, gliding through each technique as effortlessly as a leaf carried by the wind. His movements flowed seamlessly, each one blending into the next, like a river flowing towards the sea. He demonstrated a sweeping kick followed by a swift strike, then moved seamlessly into a defensive posture. Although basic, the movements I showed can be said to capture the essence of the leaf dragon fist. The students watched, entranced by Hiroshi's display. His execution of the techniques was both elegant and powerful, embodying the harmony between finesse and strength that defined the style. Each technique consists of multiple stages that can be adapted to various combat scenarios. The essence of this style lies in its versatility and fluidity. He continued his demonstration, showing how the movements flowed together, each one setting up the next. The students watched in awe, captivated by the advanced techniques. As the demonstration concluded, a silence fell upon the group. Hiroshi-sensei, with a knowing smile, took a step back, allowing the awe to settle before breaking it with his next instruction. Hiroshi-sensei motioned for the students to spread out across the training field. The excitement in the air was palpable as they took their positions, eager to begin their training. Before we dive into a stance of the leaf dragon fist, it's crucial that you warm up properly. The students followed Hiroshi's lead as he demonstrated a series of stretches designed to loosen their muscles. Start with some basic stretches, he instructed, moving through a sequence of arm circles, leg stretches and torso twists. Remember that flexibility and muscle readiness are key to preventing injuries. Next, we'll move on to some warm-up exercises, Hiroshi continued. He demonstrated a range of exercises: mountain climbers to enhance agility and cardiovascular endurance, lunges to build leg strength and balance, and planks to stabilize the core. The students followed his lead, their movements harmonized in a steady rhythm. After several minutes of warm-up exercises, Hiroshi called the group back together. The students gathered around him, their faces filled with anticipation. "Excellent work," he said, his voice carrying a note of approval. "Now that you're warmed up, we'll begin learning one of the introductory stances of the leaf dragon fist." Hiroshi-sensei stood at the front of the training field, his stance exuding stability and strength. The students watched with rapt attention, eager to learn the intricacies of this elite style. He adopted the rooted stance, positioning his feet shoulder-width apart. "This is the rooted stance," he explained. "It's one of the foundational stances of the leaf dragon fist, providing stability and strength." His front foot angled slightly forward while the back foot remained perpendicular, weight evenly distributed, and knees slightly bent to lower his center of gravity. The students mirrored his stance, though some found it more natural than others. Hiroshi moved among them, making subtle adjustments. "Feel the connection to the ground," he advised one student. "Engage your core and keep your spine straight," he told another. Once he was satisfied with their positioning, Hiroshi demonstrated a series of movements from the rooted stance. He transitioned smoothly from a defensive block to a powerful strike, illustrating the dual nature of the style. The students followed his lead, their initial attempts awkward but gradually becoming more fluid under his watchful eye. "Each movement serves a purpose," he reminded them. "The block is not just a defense, it sets up your next attack. Your strike must be decisive, utilizing the momentum you've built." Hiroshi emphasized the importance of adaptability within the leaf dragon fist. Though this is a foundational technique, it can be tailored to fit various combat scenarios. As you advance, you'll learn to adapt these movements to your personal fighting style. Kaizen found the movements intuitive, his body naturally aligning with the flow of the technique. He observed Hiroshi closely, noting the subtleties that made the style so effective. "This style isn't too bad," he thought, impressed by its balance. Hiroshi continued guiding the class through additional movements, each one building on the previous. Maintain the cohesiveness between your blocks and strikes, he encouraged. With practice, these movements will become second nature. The students concentrated intensely, absorbing the detailed instructions. Hiroshi's corrections and insights helped them refine their techniques, ensuring they grasped the core principles of the rooted stance. The rooted stance can serve as the foundation for more advanced techniques. While I've shown you some initial movements within this stance, understand that mastering it involves much more complexity. He moved into the rooted stance again, demonstrating its solidity and balance. The proper use of this stance requires precise chakra control to stabilize your body and enhance your strength. Focusing chakra into your feet and legs creates an unyielding connection to the ground, which can be difficult to maintain under combat conditions. This stance also demands exceptional balance and coordination. You must distribute your weight perfectly between both feet while maintaining flexibility for swift movements. It takes intense physical training and acute body awareness. Hiroshi emphasized the mental aspect of the technique. Mental discipline is crucial. You must remain calm and focused, as distractions or fatigue can disrupt the balance and control needed for this stance. This isn't just about physical prowess, it's about mastering your mind. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, with chaos swirling around you. You must find your center, grounding yourself like a tree with deep roots. The storm may rage, but you remain steadfast. He continued, in the heat of battle, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the adrenaline and noise. Your ability to stay composed directly impacts your effectiveness in the rooted stance. This calmness allows you to make precise movements and strategic decisions. When your mind is clear, you can anticipate your opponent's actions and respond with the appropriate technique. In mastering the rooted stance, you're not just learning a physical position, you're cultivating a state of mind, one that is calm, unshakable, and ready to face any challenge. This mental fortitude will serve you well, not just in taijutsu, but in all aspects of your life as a shinobi. He highlighted the physical endurance required. Holding the rooted stance builds strength but is physically taxing. Strong leg muscles and a well-conditioned core are essential to prevent fatigue and maintain stability during prolonged training or combat. In the world of shinobi, battles are often a test of endurance as much as skill. The ability to maintain your stance without wavering is critical when faced with relentless opponents. Hiroshi continued, in our world, shinobi must be prepared to endure long missions, sometimes fighting for hours without rest. The rooted stance trains your body to handle this physical strain. Imagine facing multiple enemies or engaging in a drawn-out fight against a powerful adversary like the ones we read about in the histories shinobi such as Madara Uchiha or Hashirama Senju. Their legendary battles were not just about raw power, but also about endurance and the ability to maintain their fighting capabilities over extended periods. He demonstrated the stance again, this time holding it longer, his muscles visibly tensed yet controlled. To achieve this level of physical endurance, you must train rigorously. Strengthening your legs through squats, lunges, and other targeted exercises will help you maintain this stance with ease. Your core, which supports your entire body, needs to be conditioned through exercises like planks and leg raises. These routines are not just for building muscle, but for building the kind of muscular endurance that can keep you grounded and stable in any combat scenario. Hiroshi also touched upon the chakra control aspect. Physical strength alone is not enough. You must also learn to enhance your physical endurance through chakra control. By channeling chakra to your legs and core, you can bolster your strength and increase resistance to fatigue. This technique is what allows shinobi to perform incredible feats of stamina, such as traveling long distances at high speeds or enduring the physical toll of powerful jutsu. Kaizen's mind immediately began processing this information, relating it to his own recent discoveries. He hadn't yet attempted to use chakra to reinforce his endurance, but the principle Hiroshi described provided a new avenue for him to explore. It made sense now how legendary shinobi like Madara and Hashirama could sustain such prolonged battles, fighting for over a day without faltering. As Kaizen reflected on Hiroshi's words, he couldn't help but find it somewhat comical. He had stumbled upon a method of using chakra to alleviate muscle fatigue by focusing on recovery. He had visualized directing chakra to his sore muscles, easing tension and dissipating soreness. This approach, while achieving a similar end result, was fundamentally different from the method Hiroshi described. Does he not know about using chakra for muscle recovery, Kaizen wondered, or is it something that shinobi don't consider to be possible? Leaving those thoughts aside for the time being, Kaizen began to speculate on the potential effects of combining both methods. What if he could not only alleviate muscle soreness through his recovery technique, but also enhance his endurance as Hiroshi suggested? The possibilities were intriguing. By integrating both approaches, he could potentially maintain peak performance for extended periods while also minimizing the impact of fatigue. If I can master both techniques, Kaizen thought, I could push my physical limits even further. Imagine being able to fight at full strength for hours on end without feeling the usual strain. It would provide a significant advantage in prolonged battles or missions. Understanding that now wasn't the time to think too deeply about it, Kaizen resumed his focus of Hiroshi's explanations. Hiroshi looked around at the students, making sure they were absorbing the gravity of his words. The rooted stance can become more than just a singular stance within a taijutsu style. It can become a foundation for everything you do in close combat. It allows you to launch powerful strikes, absorb impacts, and stay balanced, no matter the terrain or situation. This endurance can give you the upper hand in battles that stretch your limits. When your enemy begins to tire, you will still stand strong. Hiroshi then demonstrated a transition from a defensive block to an offensive strike. Seamlessly integrating movements from this stance is challenging. You must transition fluidly between blocks and strikes without compromising your grounded stability, a skill that demands countless hours of dedicated practice. The power of the rooted stance lies in its unyielding defense and enhanced strikes, he continued. The strong connection to the ground allows you to absorb and deflect powerful attacks with minimal movement. Hiroshi's explanation was thorough, but he knew that a demonstration of the rooted stance's capabilities would leave an even more lasting impression. He turned towards a nearby tree, its trunk thick and sturdy, a testament to years of growth. The students followed his gaze, curiosity and anticipation etched on their faces. Standing before the tree and assuming the rooted stance, Hiroshi launched a powerful punch at the tree trunk. His fist collided with the wood with a resounding impact. The tree shuddered violently, leaves trembling as a deep, jagged crack split the trunk from the point of impact down to the roots. The sheer force of the punch caused a section of the tree to splinter and break away, crashing to the ground in a dramatic display of power. The students stared, wide-eyed and speechless, as the dust settled around the shattered remains. The power you just witnessed, Hiroshi said, turning back to his students, is the utilization of the stance alone, using my body's strength, without any associated techniques that can build upon it. His punch also could have been even more powerful if someone had attacked me. One of the strengths of the rooted stance, when mastered, is the ability to transfer momentum, neutralizing an opponent's attack and utilizing their momentum against them. Hiroshi continued, his voice steady and instructive. While the rooted stance is a powerful foundation, it is essential to remember that it is just one stance within the broader and complex leaf dragon fist style. It provides immense stability and power, but it also has its limitations. He paused, allowing the students to absorb his words. One significant weakness of the rooted stance is its lack of movement. While you are grounded and stable, your mobility is limited. This can be a disadvantage in scenarios requiring quick footwork or evasive maneuvers. Additionally, the stance is not well suited for mid to long-range combat. Its strength lies in close-quarters engagements where you can utilize the power of your grounded strikes. He resumed his normal stance and looked at the students. This is why the Leaf Dragon Fist style incorporates a variety of stances and techniques. The rooted stance can provide a powerful base, but to be truly effective, you must learn to transition smoothly between different stances and integrate other elements of the Leaf Dragon Fist. I think of the rooted stance as the roots of a tree, Hiroshi continued. It anchors you, provides strength, and nourishes your techniques, but just like a tree, you must have branches that can sway with the wind and leaves that can reach for the sky. The other stances and movements within the Leaf Dragon Fist style will allow you to adapt to various combat situations and opponents. Hiroshi stepped back from the tree he had damaged, looking at the students with a discerning eye. By understanding both the strengths and weaknesses of the rooted stance, you can better appreciate its role within the broader context of the Leaf Dragon Fist. Hiroshi concluded his lecture of the rooted stance. Remember, the ultimate goal is not to rely solely on one technique but to become adaptable and versatile. As you continue your training, strive to understand the full spectrum of taijutsu styles and how they can complement each other. This is the path to becoming a well-rounded and formidable shinobi. The students, although a bit overwhelmed by the amount of information and its associated complexity, nodded at their sensei, grasping the point he wanted to get across. Now that you've gained an idea of what the Leaf Dragon Fist entails, it's time to move on to something else, he announced. Next, we'll be conducting a taijutsu sparring contest to gauge your current skills and understand where each of you stands.